Welcome to another new Scott Sports Show. I am your host, Tyler Trumbauer. The athletic department held its 34th annual Hall of Fame ceremony Saturday night in Macomb Fieldhouse. The department inducted 7 individuals into its Hall of Fame and named a Coach of the Year, Male and Female Athletes of the Year, and Male and Female Scholar Athletes of the Year. Cody Harris of the football team and Megan Kelly of the women's soccer team were honored as the Male and Female Scholar Athletes of the Year. Graduate guard Laurel Lindsay was awarded the Nancy Acker Senior Female Athlete of the Year for her accomplishments this season. Mike Fenner talked to her at the ceremony. Here's that interview.
I'm Mike Fenner here at the 2015 Edinboro University Athletic Hall of Fame banquet, now joined by the recipient of our Female Athlete of the Year award, Laurel Lindsay. Well, congratulations, and what does it mean to you to win this award?
I think it just goes to show I've played with a lot of good people. We've had so many successful teams in the past, and it's really like a tribute to the other players and coaches that I've had.
And, of course, going and flashing way back 5 years ago. Now you've been a member of this women's basketball program for 5 years. Yeah. Why Edinboro? Why head coach Stan Swank in this program? What made you choose the Fighting Scots women's basketball team?
When I visited, I just felt so comfortable here, and it seemed like a place that I'd be willing to spend 4 years / 5 years. But, I really liked his coaching style and the person that he is, and the players at the time were so welcoming, so it just felt like home.
What was your first wow kind of moment when you got here and got on the floor, maybe even at a game or in a practice or off the floor? What was your kind of first wow type of moment for you with this program?
I guess winning my first PSAC my freshman year, because I didn't really know too much. I didn't have the highest expectations. The year before that, they were a good team, but they didn't go very far, and so I was just assuming to come in and be like a role player. I didn't really realize the role that I was going to have, and winning PSACs my freshman year was definitely the wow moment.
And, of course, after your freshman year, had the knee injury, the ACL tear in your sophomore season. First of all, how difficult was that for you to deal with as a player in early stage in your career? But then also, what do you think that did for you on the floor, and then also just as a person trying to recover from that and trying to overcome that adversity?
I think anybody that's really had a serious injury doesn't think that they're going to be able to come back and be the same player that they were. I know for me, afterwards, when I first started coming back, I'm like, there's no way that I'm going to be able to play like I used to play. And then we have such amazing trainers. Miss Audra's seriously the best, and she's so caring, and she was with me the whole time and really strengthened me to even stronger than I was before. And
then flashing forward to the 2013-2014 season, a year ago, you guys tie for the second most wins in school history with 27 victories, and you reached the Elite Eight, winning the Atlantic Regional Championship. How special of a season was that for you and your teammates going that far?
It was spectacular. There's really no words to even describe it. It was so exciting. That team was so special. It's like every single one of those girls I could call like my sisters or like my family. It was just, we were so close, and I think that's why we went so far is we got along so well that anybody's accomplishments and stuff were a team accomplishment because we worked so well together.
And, of course, you had a difficult decision to make coming into this season. You had another year of eligibility remaining, but did graduate from school. How tough was that decision in talking with family, friends, kind of just internally thinking about what you wanted to do? Because it's a life decision that's huge going forward. How was that decision for you?
That decision was terrible. I went back and forth so many times throughout the season about what I was going to do, and then eventually I told Coach Swank I'm done. And I went the whole summer being done, and then it wasn't until like a month before school started that I called him up and I'm like, hey, can I come back? And he's like, sure. So, I don't really know if it was like a single thing that made me decide to come back. It was more or less like I really think I missed it and I wasn't ready to be done yet.
Standing here now and after the conclusion of the season, are you glad you made that decision?
Yes, I'm very glad.
And, of course, with this season, another successful year on the hardwood, a big night in Edinboro women's basketball, December 17th. For you, 15 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists, the 5th triple-double in school history for Edinboro women's basketball. Not only that, but 500 career victories at Edinboro for your head coach, Stan Swank. What was that night like for you and for your teammates, and how special was that? Very, very historic with a lot of different things going on that night.
He told me it looked like I was trying to steal his shine. Like, that was his big night, and And I don't know, I really didn't even realize I was getting that many like points and rebounds and stuff. It wasn't until I came off the court that they told me, and I honestly had no clue that I was getting that many. So the ball was falling into my hands and working well for me. But no, that was a really exciting night, especially for Coach Swank, because that's an amazing accomplishment.
Early on in the season this past year, not having your backcourt mate in Val Majeski, how much did that force you to kind of change into a different role and to do a lot of different things, being counted on, not only as a veteran that's been around for a long time, but sort of being relied on to score, rebound, dish the ball, and do a whole lot of different things without Majeski out there?
Yeah, without Val, there's no click, there's no cohesion. We need Val, and I think her coming back just gave us the boost that we needed to start winning, because in the beginning of the season we were kind of, I don't want to say a wreck, but we were lost without her, and we really needed her. But playing without her also makes me feel like I need to do more, and I think that helped me, I guess, get better.
This may be a very easy answer, but in your career, which team did you like to get up for the most? What was the matchup you really relished playing? Who did you want to play?
Gannon. Yeah, we always get excited to play Gannon.
What did that mean to you, winning your final home game against Gannon in your final go-around against the Lady Knights on this floor?
It went into overtime, which is always exciting. And we actually went into overtime last year with them, too, here. So it was just kind of like deja vu. But it's always a big pick-me-up whenever we win against Gannon, especially when they bring all their fans and stuff.
You finished the season first on the team, first in the PSAC in assists, and also third in the nation for Division II in assists. What does that say about your ability to distribute the ball, and also about your teammates and their abilities to make shots?
They just get open for me. I'm not like making spectacular passes. A lot of the times they make shots. I think we were number 1 in 3-point shooting percentage for a while. So you give them the ball and they're going to put it in.
And then also, your team the last 2 seasons has been historic from the three-point line. 2 years ago, had a school record 200 made three-pointers, 196 this past year, and you're a big part of that. What does that really tell you about the commitment to excellence from you and your teammates in really committing to excellence in the three-point line, and how important that was to the game plan?
We're in the gym a lot, and when you practice 2 hours a day, sometimes that's not enough. And I know like Lauren and Val and stuff, they're always staying after practice and shooting threes, and the more repetition you get, the better you'll be. And I think that's really where our team benefited, because we put in the extra time.
You finished playing 120 career games here at Edinboro, number 1 in women's basketball history all time at this school, winning 95 games, nearly 80% of your games won. Could you have ever imagined that kind of a number ending your career when you first got here at Edinboro?
No, not at all, especially considering that I really wasn't going to come back. So I just thought my career was over, but no, I had no clue that we would win that many games while I was here.
What's the one thing you hope to be remembered for, whether it be on the floor, off the floor, from your teammates, your coaches, and everyone in the community here at Edinboro? What do you want to be remembered for after winning this Female Athlete of the Year here at Edinboro?
I don't really know. I hope that all my teammates just, thought I was a good teammate and was always there for them and a kind person. It's not necessarily about being a fierce competitor or anything like that. It's just, I really hope that they look at me with a positive light.
Thank you once again, and congratulations, Laura, on the award.
Thank you.
I'm Mike Fenner for the Scott Sports Show here at the 2015 Edinboro University Athletic Hall of Fame banquet.
Congratulations to Lindsay once again for the achievement. When we return, I'll be joined by the Male Athlete of the Year and also the Coach of the Year as we continue on the Scott Sports Show. Don't go anywhere. Wrestling coach Tim Flynn earned Edinboro's Coach of the Year award as he coached the Scots to a third-place finish at Nationals in March, the highest finish for Borough ever. He's joining me now on the show. Coach, first off, congratulations on the recognition for Coach of the Year. Extremely well-deserved.
Thank you.
Just kind of that night, that moment, getting that award, you've gotten it before, so it's not anything new to you, but to get it after this year, did it feel any different? Did it mean anything different to you?
I think the award, that we got in March as a team probably meant more to me than any award, but It's always nice to be recognized by your peers.
Certainly, and that is voted on by the athletic department, so you are recognized from your peers. continuing on, going back to this year, you got that for what the team accomplished this year and what you coached them to be able to do. This year, just how special of a year was that, with all the redshirt seniors culminating in this year, and some other people stepping up, like a Jennings and a Pickett, who's ending up qualifying, winning EWL. Just what was this year like?
Every year is like different in the way it's, I don't know, I guess it plays out. We in the beginning we had, an injury with Austin Matthews, and then his backup, which we thought was a tremendous wrestler, Casey Davis, got hurt, and we were, wow, things aren't going our way. But the kids just kept grinding at it, and helped out at the end, I guess, worked out.
Yeah, you can never really script anything, and even those well-laid plans often go awry, as the old saying goes. This year, what was that? What was your mindset coming in, and then as it went along? Were you ever worried about something at any point in time, the injuries? Or were you just kind of it's all just a bump in the road, we'll still get there and get to March at the end of the day?
Well, the college wrestling season's so long that you understand that any bumps or, I guess any problems you have early in the season, they matter, but what really matters is in March. So, we do a pretty good job, I think, of focusing on what's important. We want to win all the way along, but, obviously the most important thing is that these kids reach their goals in March.
And a lot of them got extremely close or did reach their goals. We had 4 All-Americans this year: AJ Schopp, Vic Avery, Dave Habit, Mitchell Port, obviously the male athlete of the year as well. We'll talk to him a little bit later. So all of them culminating together, did a great job. Adding Corey Mines, who made it to the quarterfinals this year, had a couple upsets out there in nationals too. Put them together to make Murderers Row. Just as a coach, what's it like to have that great group, number one, on your lineup, to start your lineup, and to just be so known in the nation that they have such a name as Murderers Row?
I think it's unique, to be able to start off every match knowing wow, we got a couple wins right away, and obviously Corey Mines had a tremendous year. You mentioned Corey, but to have 3 All-Americans in the very beginning of your, every dual meet is, it's comforting, and we're not going to have that next year, so.
Certainly, and we were hoping that maybe Austin Matthews could have extended it to 157, but, maybe he'll start something himself just this year as he's coming back. This year, just what was that like overall, to have those guys, to see their careers come to an end? I asked you this just minutes after you got your award, and I asked you what those guys meant. You said they meant this trophy. They meant that we got a team title here at Edinboro. Is that still the same thing, or could you expand a little bit more on that?
Well, I think when you have, any one individual that's special, it affects your team for a number of years. But we had a number of special kids all in the same class, and I'm adding, Corey Mines and Casey Davis to those other 3, AJ and Mitchell and David. It's something that it's really going to hopefully propel our program to the next level. When you get kids like that work that hard and achieve that much, it really, really helps.
It certainly does. And then in the other parts of the lineup, they'll say, oh, this was the peak for Edinboro because they'll all leave. But little do they know, you had a Matthews who got injured. You had a Jennings who fell just short of qualifying for nationals. You had a Pickett who now has that experience. And you got some nice people coming in at heavyweight that could fill in the lineup as well. So what do you say to the people that are like, that was just the blip real quick there for Edinboro?
I don't know. We don't say much. We just keep working. I always tell the kids nobody sees what's going on in the room in the spring or in the fall or even in the summer. So I think, you just keep telling your kids to keep doing the right things. And, next year everyone can sit around and say, wow, where did this guy come from? And, hopefully they're saying that about a lot of our guys.
One thing I asked Bruce about when he was on the show a couple weeks ago was the Cleveland State wrestling situation. And he says he goes around and he tells people about how we have success here with, a smaller budget and not as many bells and whistles as other D1 programs have. Just what would you say to that? Cleveland State going, we can't have this program, we can't fund it, we're having lacrosse, and other programs are either cutting budgets or cutting wrestling overall. But here at Edinboro, we don't have as much as other Division I schools, but you still got third place at nationals. What do you kind of say to those people that are, as you see wrestling kind of get affected by some of that?
Well, I think in general, when people cut programs, you've got to look at other alternatives first. I don't know that they did at Cleveland State. You have to look at raising funds, meeting with the coach and trying to set out a plan, a plan of attack. I try not to look at other situations. I look at our own and focus on the positive. And if you have the right people around you, which I think I do, and Cliff Moore and Colt Sponseller and obviously Bruce Baumgartner, and you have the support from the administration, which we do. Do we have as much support as the Big Ten? No, but we have very good support. And then the biggest thing is just getting the right kids. This isn't rocket science. You get the right kids, someone like Mitchell Port, and he'll do whatever you ask of him, and you're going to have success. So it's really about identifying those kids and then just training them.
It's not quantum physics, Coach. It's wrestling, and I think you figured that out by now. Congratulations once again, Coach, on the accolade and one heck of a year, the PSAC Coach of the Year, EWL Coach of the Year, and Edinboro Coach of the Year. So congratulations.
Thanks.
When we return, we'll hear from the male athlete of the year, who we just talked about, Mitchell Port. Redshirt senior member of the wrestling team, Mitchell Port, was named the Sox Harrison Senior Male Athlete of the Year as Port advanced to the finals at 141 pounds at Nationals, capping off an illustrious career at Edinboro. Port is here with me now on the show. Mitchell, congratulations on one heck of a season and also capping it off with that accolade on Saturday.
Thank you.
Just 36-2 this year. Everything that you've accomplished this year, what do you make of it?
Obviously didn't accomplish what I set out to accomplish, but looking back on it, I'm satisfied with it. I'm happy with it. So,
you had 5 great years here at Edinboro. Obviously, one of them being a redshirt year. Finishing off now, you were a 4-time Nationals qualifier. I believe a 3-time All-American. You won how many EWLs? How many PSACs? Finalist this year, and then before, and getting the semis. Just all that together. When you look back at it all and think about it, do you actually realize how much you accomplished?
Not yet. So hopefully down the road I can look back on it and realize and really let it sink in how well I've done.
Maybe one of those days on the rocking chair out on the porch, just be like, I did that one day.
Yep.
I hear you, Mitchell. So this year, let's kind of dive into this one some more. Your goal was obviously to be a national champion. You said that from day one. When I first met you, you said, Tyler, I'm going to be a national champion. And I believed you, so many others did too. And you got right there. Just kind of take us through that journey this year. What did you experience this year? Only having 2 losses, both to Logan Stieber, who he's not too bad on the wrestling match, being only the 4th 4-time national champion. So there's nothing to be ashamed of in that category. But take us through your senior season for wrestling here at Edinboro.
I think I had my goal set so high that I had to put work in the room. I had to train as hard as I have been. I didn't look at it as I've already been here. I'm just going to be satisfied with being here. So looking at it from that, I really set myself up for what I set out to do.
Yeah, and you got to nationals, and you got up on the stage, and so much, and you were the 141 finals was the last match of the night. It was the marquee matchup voted by the fans that night. What was that atmosphere like? I mean, I was there, but I was just some guy in the corner. They threw me there, but you were on center stage on ESPN, wrestling right there. What was that atmosphere like?
I think the neatest part was that it was the last match, and it was kind of the most looked forward to match of the night. Obviously, it didn't end how I wanted it to, but it was a great experience being there.
It was very cool to bookend that with Dave, too. Dave had just as good as a year as you. What was that like to many teams only are lucky to get 1 to go to the finals, but for Edinboro to have 2, it's someone like Dave who you work with in warm-ups in the room. What was that like to go through that exact experience with him?
It was awesome leading up to obviously his finals and then my finals. He fell short the first match, so I kind of had to sit there and kind of try not to let it sink in that how he finished and stuff like that. And then actually warming up after he lost in the finals, he came and helped me warm up, which was really respectable on his part.
Yeah, he was a great teammate right out of the gate, went and immediately talked to you and others right afterwards. When you started here in Edinboro, I mean, you came from the middle of the state out to Edinboro. Coach Flynn put you here in Edinboro. What did you feel you could accomplish? Did you feel you could end up putting all on your resume that you already have? Did you feel you could do that?
Coming in, I wanted to be a national champ. I didn't know that I would All-American 3 times. Obviously, you set your goals high and then hope that you reach them, but if you fall just short, you're still set up in a pretty good position.
Certainly. Now, for Edinboro Wrestling, I kind of asked Coach this, how you're the smaller budget program, you're the smallest Division I wrestling program. There's no beating around the bush on that, but you guys get it done, and you were kind of getting into the spotlight, and you were opening some eyes at nationals this year. What would you say to outsiders about Edinboro Wrestling and why they should not be surprised that you guys were the 3rd team in the nation?
I think it says a lot about us. You don't really need to be the most paid or the most have the most stuff,
resources,
tools, resources. Yeah, you don't need that to win wrestling matches, and I think that's one of the things that we do here that really sets us apart from everywhere else.
Now, what's it like in the Edinboro community? I mean, they really build around wrestling here. I mean, when Ohio State came in, the place was packed. What was it like wrestling for Edinboro, for the Edinboro community more?
It's awesome to get a crowd like that out in an Ohio State match or an Iowa match, and it shows that we can do it. I just wish that we could get it a couple more times each year. That would be amazing. Build
it up for the other matches. So when you're finally going to be graduating in a few weeks and then you're going to be moving on from Edinboro, what is going to be some of the biggest takeaways you take from being an Edinboro wrestler? Maybe it might not be when the bright lights are showing on you in St. Louis, but it's maybe something just working with Coach Flynn or Coach Moore or Coach Sponseller in the room.
I think putting in what you want to get out is one of the biggest things. If you put in as much work as you need to take away what you really want to achieve, and I think that's one of the biggest things.
And you certainly put in a lot, and you got out a heck of a lot as well, Mitchell. Congratulations on the accolade, the year, and just being one of the best wrestlers to ever put on the singlet in Edinboro.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break and then come back and wrap up this week's show by spotlighting the Scots of the Week and taking a look at what's ahead on the schedule of events. Congratulations to Matthias Agnassi of the men's tennis team and Kylie Mason of the softball team for being named this week's male and female Scots of the Week. Agnassi did not lose over the weekend at the PSAC Championships and was named the championship MVP as Borough claimed its 2nd straight PSAC title by defeating local rival Mercyhurst 5-1 on Saturday. Mason went 8 for 20 at the plate, scored 5 runs, hit 2 doubles, 1 triple, stole 2 bases, and had 4 walks. She also tied a career high with 3 hits against Cal U to cap off her great week. Here are excerpts from my interviews with them. Going into it, in the semifinal, you guys are the top seed, beat Westchester 5-0 in the semis, then beat Mercyhurst 5-1 in the finals to take the title. What was the mindset going into the weekend and having to compete against Westchester and Mercyhurst?
We were a lot confident because the last couple of matches we were winning like really solid.
Mm-hmm.
The key was like the last match we were winning all the 3 doubles that we never did before. So we were really confident with doubles, and then with singles we were always really confident. So the key I think was doubles. Against Westchester, everybody played really well, and it was a tough match, but we made it. I think for Mercyhurst the key was like winning the 3 doubles, because then the singles was like a lot of matches were really tight.
Mm-hmm.
So I think like we're really confident, and it was a good weekend.
Regionals are coming up this week. The seeds will be announced in a couple of days, so you'll find out exactly what you're doing there. But you're the defending regional champion as well, so now you still have more bullseyes on your back, and people are gunning for you. So what's the team's mentality going into regionals this weekend?
Put everything we have, and this weekend was really good for us because we built a lot of confidence. So we're confident that we can win this, but as I say, when we finish our last match against Mercyhurst, this is only the beginning. Our goal is like to get the NCAA tournaments and pass a couple rounds of the NCAA tournament. So this is just the beginning.
Just the beginning, as Coach said last time he was on the show. You're writing a story and you want a good ending, but we're just writing the story now as the rest has still been unwritten as of now. Congratulations, Matthias, once again, and good luck this weekend at Regionals.
Thank you very much.
Now let's take a look at the upcoming schedule of events. Not too much going on as we're wrapping up the year. Track and field will head to the PSAC Championships at East Stroudsburg this weekend. Softball, if they qualify for the PSACs, will be at Veterans Park in Quakertown. That'll be Thursday through Saturday. As of taping, they were on the fringe of making the playoffs. They will find out Tuesday night. And on Saturday, the men's tennis team will begin their Atlantic Regional, which goes through Tuesday, May 5th. The Scots come in as the defending regional champion, so try to head out and support the Fighting Scots. And if you can't, always check GoFightingScots.com for the latest information. That's all the show we have for you this week. Thanks for watching, and go Burrow.